Hi, third grade friends. Today we are going to be practicing story elements with the story The High Dive. I am going to read this story with you, and then we will go through a digital story map in order to figure out what the problem was, how do they fix it, who was the characters, and what did they learn. Okay, so here we go. The summer sun warmed the cement under Elisa's bare feet as she walked around the edge of the town pool. Her friend Maria was waiting for her by the diving boards. "Come on, Elisa," Maria said. "Let's jump off the high dive." Elisa looked at her with wide eyes. "The high dive? No way." "Don't be scared," Maria said. "It's really fun." Elisa walked away and sat on a bench. "You go. I'll watch you." Maria shook her head. "You don't know what you're missing." Elisa frowned and bit her lip. She watched Maria climb up the tall ladder. It made Elisa dizzy just imagining being up there. Elisa had been afraid of the high dive since she could remember. The thought of being up so high terrified her. She had never even tried to jump off. Maria jumped off the board and then climbed out of the pool. She approached Elisa. "Come on, Elisa, you've got to try it. It's awesome," she said. Elisa looked up at the board. Maybe it was time for a new experience. "Okay," she said. Elisa climbed up the ladder for the high diving board. When she got to the top, she gripped the rails tightly. The water down below looked far, far away. She wanted to turn back and walk back down the ladder, but that would be way too embarrassing. There was only one thing to do. Elisa walked to the edge of the board and took a deep breath. Then she closed her eyes and jumped. A rush of excitement coursed through her as she plummeted into the pool. She emerged from the water, sputtering and splashing. "That was awesome!" she cried. Before we go into our digital story map, let's review what story elements are and the different parts of a plot. In order to review, let's watch this brain pop video together.
Up, up, and away! The hero flies through the sky looking for signs of trouble. Oh no! Someone's up to no good. It's the evil Dr. M. The hero comes to the rescue. He uses his powers to save the day. The citizens of Megapolis cheer for their hero. But the evil Dr. M won't stop until she steals every cell phone in the world. What an exciting book! I can't wait to learn what happens next. What is the plot of a story? A story has a few different parts. The introduction is the beginning. In the introduction, you learn about the characters, who are the people or animals in the story. The main characters in this book are the hero and the evil Dr. M. You also learn about the setting, which is where and when the story takes place. This story takes place in an imaginary city. The plot is all the events that happen in the story. A lot of things happen in this story. What is conflict? In the plot, the characters usually come up against a problem. A problem in a story is called the conflict. The characters might struggle against nature or against machines. Sometimes a character might face another character. Other times, the character might face a big fear. The conflict in this book is that the evil Dr. M wants to steal every cell phone in the world. And the hero has to stop her. What happens in a story? Many events can happen in a story. New characters might show up. They might try to solve the problem in different ways. A lot of ups and downs can happen in a story. Well, in this story, the heroes have a plan to catch Dr. M. But it doesn't work. So the characters come up with another plan. They're really excited, and they're sure it's going to work. But that plan doesn't work either. Stories can be exciting when you're not sure what's going to happen next. The events in the plot usually build up to one really big event, or climax. The climax is often the most exciting part of the story. But how does a story end? A solution is an answer to a problem. By the end of a story, characters often find a solution to resolve their problem. When I read a story, I like to take notes on the plot. I might use a story map to jot down the problem and keep track of the events in order. I also take notes on how the characters learn things and change as the plot develops. Well, in the end, or conclusion of this story, Dr. M learns that she can't steal cell phones. The heroes learn that if they work together, they can solve tough problems.
Okay, third graders, let's review those important words that we learned in that video. So in story elements, there are always characters. Those are the people, animals, or things in a story. Stories usually have a main character who the story is mostly about. Then there's the setting, that is where and when a story takes place. Okay, so where is the story taking place? What time is it? Those things affect the setting of a story. Next, there's a problem, and that's what the character faces. What problem is going on? Or what goes wrong in the story and the challenge the character faces. Okay? And the solution is how the problem is fixed or solved. Okay? So those are the four main story elements, and then there's also the central message. The central message allows the reader to learn something from the story. It's what the author wants you to take away. So some examples are don't give up. When you start a job, be sure to finish it. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Be thankful for what you have. Achieving a goal takes hard work. Working together makes things easier. Always be kind. Be honest. There's a ton of central messages, but that is just what the author wants you to learn. What life lesson was the author trying to teach you? Okay, so in this short passage, the ant and the grasshopper, the central message is that they prepare for the future. That's what the author wants you to learn, how to prepare for the future. Okay, so if we go back into our passage, the high dive, we have all of the story elements that we just learned. We have characters, we have a setting, we have problems, and a solution, right? So we are going to practice that using a digital story map, okay? So the characters, who were the main characters in the story? It was Elisa and Maria, right? What was the setting of the story? Where did the story take place? Well, the setting of the story was at the pool. That's where the story took place. What problem did the characters face? Well, the problem was that Elisa had a big fear of jumping off the diving board, right? She was afraid of heights, and that was very scary for her. And the solution to that problem was that her friend Maria convinced her to jump off the diving board, and she actually had a great time, right? So her friend Maria convinced to jump off the diving board, and Elisa faced her fear, right? That's how the problem was solved. Her friend convinced her, and she decided to face a big fear that she had. So those are the 4 story elements. Now we're going to recount the story or summarize it. And when we recount a story, we are telling the main parts of the story. We don't want to say every single detail. We only want to say the most important parts, okay? And we like to use a strategy called somebody wanted but so then. And if you put your hand up and you see all 5 fingers, each finger will remind you of a different part of the summary. So somebody wanted, but, so, then. There are 5 parts to a summary. Okay, so somebody is the character in the story, and what did they want? So Elisa wanted to jump off the high dive. But what was her problem? Well, we already know her problem because we wrote it over here. But Elisa had a big fear of jumping off and of heights, right? That was her fear. That was the problem. Okay, so we have somebody wanted, the main character, and what did they want? But what was the character's problem? So how did the character fix their problem? So the solution to this story is that her friend Maria convinced her to jump off the diving board, right? And then how did the story end? Okay, so let's think back to the end of the story. She said something very important, right? She had a rush of excitement, and when she came up after splashing into the pool, she said, "That was awesome." Okay, and that's how the story ended. So we're going to add that to our story map here. Lisa jumped off the board and said, "That was awesome." And that's how the story ended, right, friends? So if we look at all of these parts of the story, there's a main lesson that Elisa learned here, okay? And if we think about her problem, that she was afraid of heights, and her solution is that she wanted a new experience, and her friend Maria convinced her to do so, that she learned that she can do things that she fears, right? That's her central message, is that she learned how to conquer her fears, right? That was the lesson that she learned, is that even though we're scared of some things, we can still conquer them by trying something new. And that's what Elisa learned in this story. Okay, so if we review, we had a character, Elisa and Maria. They had problems, they had a solution. The setting was the pool. Then we summarized it using our new strategy, somebody wanted, but so then. And then we found the central message. What did the author want us to learn as readers? They wanted us to learn how to conquer our fears and the joy that we can get if we just put our fears to the side and try something new. All right, third graders, that was our story elements lesson of the day.